I will start off by welcoming everyone to this series of lectures. I want to appreciate everyone for making time to attend these lectures. For us, it's been very revealing, and it's something we always look forward to. I'm Femi Oderinlo. I'm a retinal surgeon. I'm also a member of the faculty of the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy. The Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy is the one that's responsible for the lecture series, and we've started about a year ago, and this lecture is the 11th in the series, but the first lecture in 2022. So the theme for this lecture is leadership and influence. I know we're going to gain a lot from our speaker today, and we are very glad to have him. I'll go through a few house rules, and then we look at today's agenda. You can look at the screen and see the agenda is already there. So as much as possible, while you are not talking, we appreciate it if you can put your microphones on mute and then turn off your cameras in order to reduce the distraction as the session is being recorded. The agenda for today is shown on the screen. We are going to have the welcome, after which we have the introduction. I'll be handing over to Dr. Ayo Harriman, who is the director of the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy, to take over the introduction. There'll be an introduction of the speaker for the day. We will then have an interactive session after the speaker has finished his presentation. Mostly we'll take questions and other forms of interactions. As much as possible, we'll try to encourage people to type their questions in the chat boxes so that we can capture everything and we'll be able to answer as much as we can. Sometimes we may not be able to attend to all your questions, and so if we have it typed in the chat, we'll be able to respond to you after the meeting and continue the discussions. So if you want to ask a question, please indicate by raising your hand. We'll try as much as possible to take as many questions as possible. I want to thank you so much for everything, and I appreciate everyone that has made time to attend this lecture. I'll give you a brief into what the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation stands for and how we have developed over the years. So the background is that the Kunle Eye Foundation initially was the Deseret Community Vision Institute, and in the institute we were able to take a lot of trainings, and over the years we've done a lot of trainings for different cadres of healthcare. However, in this series of lectures, we are seeking to expand the scope of people who will gain access to leadership and mentorship with this program. So, talking about the Eye Foundation itself, the Eye Foundation Hospital was established in 1993 with a vision to eliminate avoidable blindness by providing equitable, qualitative, quantitative care and ensuring that everyone is entitled to good eye care and no one entitled to it is denied access. So over the years, we've been able to attend to a number of patients. I make it bold to say that probably we have the largest amount of free cataract surgeries that we've done over the years in every geopolitical zone in Nigeria. The Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy has recently gotten full approval to continue and full registration with the authorities, and we are happy to inform you that this will be a good stepping stone for us to continue to expand our activities. So not to bore you too much and not to start my own lectures, I would like to hand over to the director of the Kunle Hassan Eye Foundation Academy, Dr. Ayo Harriman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Odemilo. Good afternoon, sir, Professor, and all distinguished guests there. I'm going to introduce our speaker today, Professor Chris Oberche, who is the fourth Dean of the Lagos Business School. He graduated with a first-class honor in mechanical engineering from the University of Manchester, and then also obtained an MBA from the Manchester Business School and a PhD in corporate governance from Brunel University in the UK. He's a professor of strategic management at Lagos Business School, the Pan-Atlantic University, and is also a visiting professor at Strathmore Business School in Nairobi, Kenya. He was one-time head of marketing and sales at Nestle Nigeria and Xerox, and was a previous chairman of the board of directors Diamond Bank PLC, now Access Bank, and is on the board of several private and public companies, including Summit Healthcare, the National Salt Company of Nigeria, Health Partners, and Paulton Morgan Holdings. He has vast experience in marketing, strategic planning, and corporate governance, and has several publications in financial services marketing, strategic planning, corporate social responsibility, and corporate governance. And one of his most notable publications is Strategic Marketing of Financial Services, a Nigerian Perspective and Reengineering the Nigerian Society Through Social Marketing. Professor Oberche has been involved with several startups. He has led several consulting engagements in Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me, but there was a break in transmission. So Professor Oberche has been involved with several startups and has led several sorry for the breaking transmission. Currently, he teaches strategy, sustainability, and corporate governance at the Lagos Business School and Strathmore Business School in Nairobi, Kenya. He's the founding director of the school's Sustainability Center. His research interests are in strategy in turbulent environments like ours, strategic leadership, board effectiveness, and corporate sustainability. And this afternoon, even as our first speaker for the year, he is going to talk to us about the challenges of running a healthcare institution in the new era. So Professor Oberche, we welcome you this afternoon and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I didn't recognize the person you were introducing. But can you give me permission to share my slides? It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon with you to share my own thoughts. And please feel free to disagree or agree with me whenever I raise any controversial issue. I am not a healthcare expert, so pardon me if I don't meet up to your expectation, but I believe that business practices are the same, no matter the industry, no matter the country, whether you're in China, US, UK, Nigeria, there are certain fundamentals that we have to deal with that are common to all these countries. So my talk this afternoon is on, let me be sure that it's on the challenges of running a healthcare institution in modern era. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So I will take questions at the end. If you have any controversial issues, use the chat box. And the roadmap. Today, I'm going to start with introduction. I'll look at the current state of our economy and also the healthcare industry and how we can navigate through this complexity using a model that I developed over a year ago. The roads to the future of healthcare, including eye care, the importance of the workforce and the kind of strategy we need to adopt to be able to compete in this environment, and of course, how we can future-proof ourselves to be able to remain competitive no matter the dynamics that we're faced with in the future. And conclude before I take questions and answers. You all agree with me that we are in a world that is, I think I should use the word very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So people call it VUCA, others call it voodoo. Whatever it is, this volatility, the VUCA environment is making it difficult for businesses to plan, to operate efficiently, even to make money. Our economy is in intensive care. It's not lying in state yet. I just want to use the language of give me a second, please.
No. The chair was muted.
So I say our economy is in intensive care. You agree with me? If a patient in intensive care requires all the attention and hopefully medical solutions that will revive that patient to remain alive. And that is the state of our economy today in Nigeria. It appears that we have given up on how to fix it, or we don't know how to fix it. Prices are rising at astronomical rate, making it difficult for us to even remain competitive because we cannot easily pass on this rising prices and costs to our own customers. Because their purchasing power is diminishing at an alarming rate. And as such, they are becoming choosy on how they're going to spend their money, and even forgoing some of the essential things that they require to remain alive and active. And throw into that the global supply chain crisis that, of course, triggered off by COVID, that has made it extremely difficult for many of us in Nigeria to be able to get the necessary raw materials, inputs we need to run our businesses. How do we get out of this? We need a strong leadership at the top and a strong economic team to help us. Because if you look at what's going on, even though the price of oil is going up, we are not taking advantage of it for the simple reason that we import finished petroleum products. As the price goes up, the price of finished petroleum product goes up, and at the same time, our exchange rate is deteriorating. So it's not surprising that the price of diesel is between 600 and 800 naira per liter, depending on where you are or whom you buy from. And the price of petrol will keep going up. But the worst part of it is that the so-called subsidy is going to go up. And the only way we can accommodate that subsidy is through borrowing. The more we borrow, the more impact it has on our exchange rates, because our foreign reserve is on the decline. So That's the reason why I say we are in intensive care. For us in the healthcare industry, we are witnessing a dearth of experienced professionals. Somebody said in a country where doctors are not valued, they will go to places where they are valued. After all, even our Minister of Labor claim that we have enough doctors. And as such, is not worried if our doctors go to Saudi Arabia, to Britain, to America, to Canada. But they're not the only ones. Nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, you name it. Anybody in the medical care sector is a hot cake outside Nigeria. And that's going to have significant impact on how we deliver healthcare in Nigeria. And then the supply chain crisis has led to shortage of medical supplies and even equipment to enable us save lives, save eyes, and keep people working actively in the economy. And yet we are faced with what I call the unfamiliar world of remote working, which has its own implications, not only in terms of, not talking of effectiveness, but also in terms of health. And I'll come to that later. And so we have seen emergence to some extent of virtual health services. But the bad news is that healthcare is still seen as a social service in Nigeria. So something you should render free of charge. And people are finding it difficult to spend money taking care of their health. I normally crack a joke that take the land of somebody. He's prepared to pay a lawyer more money than to safeguard that land that he will pay a doctor to take care of his health. But the good news for us in the eye care sector, because if we look at our product portfolio in the group, eye care accounts for the bulk of our revenue and profits. That eye care or eye health is seen everywhere, particularly in developing markets, as essential to achieve the sustainable development goals, which is what they call it, the compass that many of us are using in driving economic and sustainable, inclusive development in Nigeria. But the question is that how are we going to navigate this complexity as managers? Now, I am not talking of as healthcare professionals, but as managers managing a business, whether in healthcare, fast-moving consumer goods, business to business, education, whatever it is. Managing this complexity involves what I call 7 pillars and 3 beams. Now I'm talking like a builder, an architect. And these 7 pillars are things that we face every day in business, but we want to take another look at them. And the first is what I call our directional beacons and purpose. Femi, in introducing and welcoming us, talks of our vision, our mission. Our vision, mission, and values are what I call directional beacons. With this complexity, we should sit back and say, can we interrogate these directional beacons again? We need to retouch, tweak, and revamp them, bearing in mind where we are today and what the future is likely to be. But the other dimension on this is, what's our purpose? Today, COVID has taught us a lot that business and society are interrelated. But above all, purpose-driven organizations today are the ones who are likely to make it today and in the future. So come back and say, what's our purpose? If we don't have one, let's think about it. What do we stand for? And our purpose should go beyond making profit. Profit is essential, but our purpose should also include and ask ourselves the question, how do we operate in the social space? Our purpose should make us to have at least 2 engines. I call the economic engine and the social engine operating side by side. and both can operate together to make us profitable, sustainable, but also looking at both society and the environment. The second pillar is to take another look at our strategy and say, do we have a relevant strategy? How relevant is our strategy? What made us successful before COVID may not make us successful today. So let's take another look at it, which will in turn make us to reinvent our business model. But this is a time that will require visionary leadership. Leadership that goes beyond looking at today, but trying to imagine what the future is, what the future is likely to be, and how we can lead our teams through this future and be successful. The fifth pillar, I mentioned that the economy is such that our prices are rising astronomically. We cannot easily pass on this increasing costs to our customers. Otherwise, they abandon us. So we need to see how do we tweak our operations, our processes in order to contain our costs. So cost containment, I didn't say cost cutting, there are two different things. I normally tell my MBA students that cost cutting does not grow a business. What grows a business is customers. So cost containment enables us to see how we can run more efficient and more efficient business, improve the productivity of staff, and as such, with that, we reduce the unit cost of operation to enable us to remain profitable. The sixth pillar is that this is a time for us to embrace innovation, but our innovation must be customer-led. It's the customers who actually have to determine how we move, and I'll come to that in a minute. And then the seventh pillar, which we sometimes ignore in many of our businesses, is key stakeholder engagement. This is the time for us to think of engaging, building our own ecosystem. The key stakeholders that could have significant impact on our businesses in terms of risk, opportunities. This engagement should become something that should be taken up at the highest level. These 7 pillars can stand but carry 3 beams. One is that risk management should not be on the front burner of our decision making. Are we looking at risk? And I call it enterprise-wide risk. Second, do we have the courage to do what we need to do to make the business viable? And courage is one word that is lacking when we are looking at the issue of fuel subsidy or fuel scam. And then the third, which can make the big difference in terms of competitive advantage, is flawless ability to execute flawlessly. Flawless execution of our strategy should be a key competence for us as we drive the business. So these pillars and beams are necessary for us to navigate this complexity and come out of it smiling, and not just smiling to the bank, but building a stronger business that we can be proud of. So the future is with us. That's what the technology people will tell us. But we can also create our own future. We cannot predict it, but we can develop scenarios of what this future is likely to be. And the current situation we find ourselves in now should be a catalyst for us to redefine what healthcare services should be. And the most significant force for change in healthcare future is consumer behavior. Amazingly, most of us in the consumer business, in the healthcare business, hardly engage in what I call consumer insight, understanding consumer fears, expectations, worries. I know you know that there are so many people who have eye care problems, but they never go to see any specialists. What are their fears? What are their worries? What are the expectations? Why is it that they don't? We may think that it's money, it's affordability. It may not be. So the challenge is for us to see, how do we lock into and have that intimacy with our consumers in order to understand and track, because that is what is going to help us rebuild trust and become a catalyst for growth. And technology is also presenting itself as opportunity, because technology and treatment development offer new tools for us to improve on our service delivery and grow the business. And I think we should address certain needs, certain issues. This is the time for us to see how we can improve on coverage. That's the market we are serving now. Can we expand that market? Can we even create uncontested markets where others are not, by understanding, going back to what I call consumer insight? Why are they not patronizing us? Accessibility, the quality of service, efficiency of our operations, and the fifth element we should look at, affordability. As costs go up, disposable income drops, customers keep rationalizing how they spend their money, even on essential things. So affordability become a key. So you see that in this sector, you can see that there are some technological developments that are already taking place, such as telemedicine, m-health, artificial intelligence. It's not new. I remember in 2015, when I visited Bangalore in India, we visited Dr. Shetty, who runs the biggest heart hospital in the world, the Naraya Clinic, where he offers heart surgery at affordable prices for Indians, because all over the world it's known that Indians have more heart problems than any other race in the world. But even at that time, he was already practicing telemedicine, because he could be in Bangalore and help a surgeon 600 meters, 600 kilometers away from him, through telemedicine, to perform a complicated heart surgery that he's not used to, through directing him. So this can actually be extended to eye care and other health. So these technological developments offer the potential to revolutionize healthcare in general and eye care in particular in the next decade. And it will help in delivering affordable, high quality services. Are we ready to embrace this technology? And let's not kid ourselves. Consumers expect care to be available when and how is most convenient and safe for them. So convenience is a factor, Safety is a factor, and the safety issue has actually been brought to the forefront by COVID. So the challenge for us is, as we move towards the future, how do we bring in confidence, safety, affordability to play in our service delivery? And more, we should look at the spectrum of the needs and goals of health care needs and goals of consumers. It ranges from wellness to illness. Wellness is applicable not just to, it's applicable to all forms of healthcare, including eye care. Virtual care is already on the increase. Confidence and safety is making people, when I have prescriptions, that prescription that is renewable, you prescribe, I use it. After 3 months, I have another prescription. Can it be delivered to me at home? That's part of convenience. Can you monitor my state remotely? Can I have video consultation with you? I don't have to come to the clinic all the time. Is there a way that we can digitalize diagnostics and decision support? Can we provide self-service applications to educate customers on how they can take care of their health, their eyes? Can we provide self-service applications that enable them change their behavior, which is part of wellness, to ensure that they stay healthy? So I think as we move into the future, it is time for us to shift from what that healthcare is sick care for the physical body. We should move beyond that to look at it that consumer needs and goals today includes the mind, spirit, and body. So healthcare should go beyond that, not just sick care. How do we take care of the mind? How do we take care of the spirit? And how do we take care of the body? How do we see diet and exercise as medicine? What we eat, how it will affect our health, our lifestyle, how it will affect our health, see as medicine. How do we bring spirituality to address physical and mental well-being? Look at what happened during COVID. So many people had big jump in mental illness. It wasn't physical, but the state of mind. So this will force us in integrating goals and consumer preferences into the design of the services we provide. And how we deliver these services, that's the channel. And where we locate them, if they have to be in person, to enable them receive quality care that are convenient and affordable. And in this business, the workforce is critical. It's not the complexity of equipment, the sophistication of the laser equipment you use for your eye surgery. It is the entire workforce that's involved with it. Not just only doctors, the nurses, those who are responsible after ops of care. So if you look at it in terms of the entire value chain, and today, as I said earlier, the workforce crisis is the biggest issue facing the healthcare sector in Nigeria. How can we address this? we need to take, I know they are all moving to greener pasture, but how can we take concrete steps to improve the way we recruit, how we develop them, and how we retain them? How can we, using technology, collaborate with others who are not even within our environment as part of our ecosystem? Because we can take advantage of experts who are far off, far away, or can be part of our workforce. We need to also create that enabling working environment. To allow people to have fun while they work. Give them the appropriate support, supervision, and give them all the tools they require to perform effectively. And we must, at this stage, think of how we can transform staff productivity through digitalization. Because that's one way of ensuring that we have better control of our costs. So this is time for us to also prioritize what I call employee well-being. Not just the pay, not only the work environment. The well-being includes how they feel at home, from how they come to work, safety issue, mobility, and a friendly, inviting environment. So leaders at all levels must at this stage prioritize prioritize developing the culture of excellence. This could be our own competitive advantage. A culture of compassion, a culture of collaboration, not competition, to improve care for patients. We cannot stop that mobility, but we can reduce the impact of this mobility by establishing clear succession and leadership contingency plans to enable us provide what I call a shock absorber when we lose staff. Not because they don't like us, but because they think that the grass is greener in Canada or in America. Say that the future should not take us by surprise. And one way of ensuring it doesn't take us by surprise is at the management level to develop scenarios of what the future looks like. 3 to 4 scenarios, and prepare ourselves for it. Yes, we're looking at threats and opportunities, but I'd like us to focus more on the opportunities that the future can provide and prepare ourselves in such a way that we take advantage of the opportunities. And that's what I mean by future-proofing ourselves. I tell my students that they should not celebrate when they win silver medal. Rather, they should lament that they have lost a gold medal, because the person who wins silver has lost gold. He was not good enough to win gold, but good enough to win silver. But in Nigeria, we celebrate. Even where we win only 1 bronze medal in the Olympics, we probably declare a national holiday. Whereas other countries win over 100 gold medals. And that means aspiration should be higher. So in future-proofing ourselves, I want us to bear in mind certain things. that our past success should not make us comfortable. Because the future is not necessarily an extrapolation of the past. Let's say I did well 3-4 years ago, so I can extrapolate it to the future. Because these kind of shocks, like COVID, Ukraine war, and other shocks, will change the trajectory of growth and development. But microeconomic factors will more than ever influence consumer behavior everywhere, which means we should be interested in tracking microeconomic factors and plugging them into a scenario building. Social-political strives have impacts on healthcare in a significant way. People are displaced, people are scared, they are worried, and it's not easy to access healthcare. Cost of inefficiencies will become even bigger hurdle. That means we must find ways of reducing inefficiencies. That's what kind of can technology help us in redefining our processes? Eliminate repetitive jobs that can be taken over, that can be done digitally. Consumers will become more discerning because their disposable income is declining, but they are also more knowledgeable. They have access to information. Google is there. There are people today who they can't afford to go to hospital, but they can afford to Google what is wrong with them and think of self-help. So they have more choices. Competition is real. So we cannot go it alone. I thought of stakeholder engagement, but at the same time, I'm talking of building our own ecosystem through partnerships and collaborations. Sometimes we may even have to collaborate with our own competitors because we can't complement each other. Embedding and accelerating digital change could help us in moving into the future. Investing in greater consumer engagement, which is something that is not typical in the healthcare industry, could help us reinvest for growth, could help us track trends and seize opportunities before it's too late. We have to think of how we can work smarter to drive efficiency. Ramp up our own supply chain initiatives because the supply chain crisis is real, and see how we can work on that supply development. We need to see how we differentiate. We have segment our customers. They are not the same. And tailor our offerings for different segments. Even where we are looking at the bottom of a pyramid, as a result of affordability, we should not compromise on quality of service. We have to develop and retain talent at all levels. So talent management should be critical. We have to develop a policy for that and see how we can drive high performance. Agility and resilience should be part of our DNA if we really want to future-proof ourselves and remain competitive. In conclusion, I said this is time for us in the healthcare sector to innovate at a quicker pace and even reinvent ourselves. Let's not be comfortable with where we are today. The Japanese have a saying that what what you do today, what you do well today, you can do better tomorrow. That should be the kind of spirit that should drive us. Let's not say we are overripe. That's the Nigerian way of acknowledging mediocrity, rather that we can be better tomorrow. You see, in most countries all over the world, and Nigeria is not an exception, improving eye health is a practical and cost-effective way of unlocking human potential. It's an acceptable fact. And I said earlier that this could lead to actualization of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Because there's extensive evidence showing that improving eye health contributes directly and indirectly to achieving many of the SDGs. We are still lagging behind. And we need better leadership to move us in this direction. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I say it is time for us to innovate, grow our business, or we die. Innovation will drive growth. Innovation is not only in just the services and in the services or products, it includes our processes. This will help us to unlock untapped demand, grow the business, develop new segments, develop new customers. If we don't do that, then we are on the road to being in intensive care. From being intensive care, we'll probably lie in states. Thank you very much for listening. So I can now take questions.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much. Somehow I can hear an echo. I don't know where that is from. Well, thank you very much for this detailed presentation. And we've learned a lot about what we can do in this VUCA environment that we have. So I'll just summarize what you have. While people are posting questions in the chat box, or you can show by raising your hand. So I'll just summarize what Prof has said. He said we're in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment, and our economy here is in intensive care. Strong leadership and strong economic team are necessities. Our healthcare industry has a dearth of healthcare workers, and there's also deficit in the supply chain of medical equipment and consumables. So after COVID, there has been an emergence of virtual healthcare services, but in Nigeria, we still see health as a charity service. And in the healthcare industry, he talked, in healthcare, he talked about 7 pillars, directional beacons and purpose, which embraces our mission and vision. We have to have purpose-driven organizations, which should be beyond making money. And these embrace economic or have economic and social components. We should have strategy and be ready to reinvent our business model through visionary leadership. And in these times, there has to be cost containment so as to run a more efficient business and also have improved staff productivity. We must embrace innovation, which should be customer-led. And there must be key stakeholder engagement. And these, at the managerial level, they look at risks and opportunities. There must be risk management. We must have courage to forge ahead. And in the road to the future, he mentioned that the most significant force for change in healthcare's future is consumer behavior. There's the need for technology to improve coverage, accessibility, quality of service, efficiency of our operations, and affordability. Technological developments are key. Telemedicine, m-health, artificial intelligence. These will revolutionize health, not only health, but also eye care. There must be, consumers look at convenience, safety, availability, and affordability of healthcare services. But we should not forget also the wellness services, which, should I say, vary from or range from virtual care to behavioral. The health of the mind, spirit, and body are to be embraced and integrated into the services we offer. The entire workforce should not be ignored. They need to be considered, and steps need to be taken to improve recruitment, development, and retention.
We've lost her.
Hello?
We can hear you.
We can
Okay,
hear you.
thank you very much. Yes, so I've almost finished summarizing while we're still preparing questions. We must prioritize a culture of excellence, compassion, collaboration, and succession and leadership contingency plans must be put in place. Future proofing is important at the management level, and we must take advantage of opportunities, create scenarios, and must aspire higher, track macroeconomic factors, note causes of socio-political strife, identify cost of inefficiencies. We have more discerning consumers who have more choices available to them. And therefore, we need to build our own ecosystem through partnerships and collaborations. We must engage more with customers, track trends, seize opportunities, improve on our supply chain, and tailor the products that we offer while maintaining quality. We should also develop and retain talent and must be agile. We must be innovative and must reinvent ourselves, So improving eye health has a direct effect on the SSGs, and this is the time to innovate, grow, or else we die. So this is a summary of all what Prof has said. So we would like contributions and questions from the listening audience. Dr. Oderilo is going to moderate this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harriman. I think this has been a very revealing topic, and I guess I have a lot of questions to ask.
I'm not a doctor.
It's okay, sir. We will try and ask the questions in strategy and business, sir. Not the not the particular doctor questions. Let's take Dr. Tunji Akintade. His hands are up. Please, let's have your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Oderilo, and I want to appreciate Prof for that very concise lecture. Yes, he has said that he's not a doctor, but he's been able to give an insight into the basic templates that we can build on. And I also want to thank Harriman for giving a repeat of that lecture, because he actually summarizes from the beginning to the end. Well, Prof, thank you once again. This your lecture has actually gotten me more confused. Yeah, I said more confused because you have tried as much as possible to hit the nails on every angle. And the question now is, what is the next thing? One, we have human resources gap. We have funding gap. We have low purchasing power. We are not collaborating. I know there's a difference between collaborating and partnership. You understand? And you have advised that there must be a lot of collaboration. There must be customer engagement and all these things. when in the days of well, we are still in the days of out of the pockets. We have not totally gone out of it. A lot of members, a lot of facilities are growing well, are doing well. Before, when the retainerships are there, we had challenges, which of course can be traced to the practitioners as well. Health insurance scheme, everything got bastardized. Now, there's no fund to do that innovation. There's no fund to create that enabling environment. Doctors are not managerial enough to even come together. I'm glad that Dr. Adenilo is there. They were able to pull resources together, and they have a group practice and all that is very functional. But how many of these groups are functional? And that is a limiting factor. And that is another gap which I know. Then the major problem that is also causing this challenge is that the governments are beginning to be involved in the business of health. So they are
We've lost him.
Oh, Dr. Akintade. Okay. Let's go and take the comments from the question from the chat box while we wait for Dr. Akintade. Maybe some powerful people had these questions and decided to block the internet. Okay, so this is from Olalekan Daniels. He says, will the economic fragility facing many hospitals and medical practices force even further consolidation in the health industry? How rapidly and with what effects? And then the question is, which way forward? Let me read it again.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, sir.
I've read it.
Yes, sir.
The question is absolutely right. The bad news is that most hospitals in Nigeria are not making money. The industry is highly fragmented. If you know that you can count the number of hospitals that have over 100 beds in Nigeria on one finger. Mm-hmm. The bulk of them are talking of less than 10 beds. You have many clinics where you have it's just actually a clinic, consulting clinic, outpatients. Even that, they are not making money. And the reason being that we have not learned how to collaborate and build ecosystem. Why should each hospital today have enormous diagnostic center that is utilized, that capacity utilization is less than 20%? If you actually look at the cost of setting up and the number of patients that go through it. More and more you find in other parts of the world that diagnostic business is a business, so that clinics, hospitals can plug into it. You have what they call them doctors' laboratories. All they do is offer diagnostic service. You don't have to duplicate that in your hospital. We have not learned that, and that's why I say, how can we start thinking of collaborating? And one word that is critical for collaboration in Nigeria is trust. We still have problem in that area, trusting and being able to work together. And they say in Nigeria, partnerships hardly work. Not because of that trust. So, but you start thinking of critical thing is values. How can I work with organizations and people that have similar values with me? Because once that is in place, we can build trust on it. If we really want to change the healthcare industry in Nigeria, we need to consolidate, not fragment. We are highly fragmented. Every doctor, after use service or housemanship, is setting up his own clinic. It's not viable. That's not helping. And the issue of costs is forcing people to go for self-medication. Amazingly, not pharmacists, even what do you call it, chemists. Chemists are acting like, in Nigeria, in other parts of the world, they call them pharmacists. But in Nigeria, they have pharmacies and patent medicine stores. Chemists, they are acting like doctors. People go to them and say, I can't sleep. I have this, I have that. I think of it, okay. They prescribe for them. They are causing more harm than good. So it's to see, how do we build the trust and start collaborating? The more we collaborate, but we're also thinking of how can in the health sector, people like Mikio, SaneLab, AfriGlobal are now setting up what are called diagnostic centers that hospitals can plug into, rendering such services. So they can then offer better, the hospital can then offer better services to their patients, because they are now using third parties to do certain things that they could have done themselves. And because these people now have the economies of scale, hopefully the price they charge can drop. So collaboration based on trust is the future. Otherwise, we remain where we are.
Thank you very much, sir. Collaboration based on trust is the key to the future. I don't think there's any other thing to add to that statement, because we all that are in the business, we know what it is. Interestingly, sir, a few years ago, I was discussing with some of my colleagues, and I told them, then I was in the capacity of the business development manager for the hospital, and they asked me, what is an hospital doing with a business development manager? Because most people don't see an hospital as a business, especially doctors. And because of the way we have been trained, we feel that an hospital is all but is everything about medicine, and that's all. So I think we need to know as doctors that we can't know it all. Even in the medical field, you cannot specialize in every field. You cannot be a neurosurgeon, a gastro, a urologist. You can't be everything. So collaboration is key for us to move forward and to face the challenges of this generation. So let me read from what Isede or Saze says here. He says, thank you, Prof, for this very interesting lecture. Sir, how do we balance risk and innovation? Innovation today is key to staying in business, but of course, should we watch first entrant innovators or push to become first entrant innovator and become exposed to the risk?
You know, crossing the road is a risk. You know, the patient who comes to you for treatment is taking a risk. How am I sure I will get the right treatment? The patient who lies down on the theater for an op is taking a risk. So in business, we talk of risk and reward. But one of the areas of mitigating risk is to anticipate it and see how we go about mitigating it, but also ensuring that that risk we take is a calculated risk. Innovation is not only developing new products, new services. No, innovation includes improving our own processes. Innovation includes how we train our own staff. Innovation includes how we serve the customer. So innovation cuts across. You see, when we talk, many people think innovation is only just developing a new product or new service. So maybe before they understand, or before I can make money, I have spent so much money in innovation. Innovation includes finding out why certain group of customers are not patronizing us. And once we know that, so what do we do to change the dynamics? Is it fear? Is it cost? Is it convenience? So if we don't know, we can't move forward. Innovation, you might say it has to be customer-led innovation. One way of reducing the risk of innovation is that it has to be customer-led. That means we have to plug into the way they want, what they want, how they want it, where they want it. We cannot, at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay our salaries. So having that intimacy with them will reduce the risk. And it's not rocket science to track it. I say in the healthcare industry, we're not doing it. We actually believe that we know everything about them. They should come to us. We're the experts. I am the neurosurgeon. I am the I'm the glaucoma specialist. I am the orthopedic surgeon. Yes, you are the expert. Don't forget you are serving somebody. And that person has a choice where to go to. As a matter of fact, one of the choices is having going night vigil. So understanding how they think and what makes them do those things can help us in innovating the way we serve them and what we offer them. Innovation could even be in pricing. Pricing could actually take into consideration, how do you call it, instrumental payments. Innovation could even be in the way we get them to pay. For example, more people are leaving Nigeria. We agree. But the good flip side of it is that many of them want to take care of their parents and their siblings at home. They will send money down. They'll be interested in their health. Innovation could be in packaging services and products that people outside will pay for those who receive it in Nigeria. So I think the way of reducing risk innovation is to make it customer-led. The more we invest in knowing them and what their problems, their fears, their expectations are, their worries, the better we are in rendering the kind of services they want and they will pay for.
Okay, thank you, sir. Dr. Akintade is back. Is back online. Dr. Akintade, can we take your question now?
Yeah, thank you, Prof. I know I've missed a lot because I know you have answered a lot of questions that have benefited. My question again, I mean, after laying all those foundations, I have said that the government are also creating a competition for us, which is, of course, is a part of the business. So how do we innovate when there is no funding for those innovations? I appreciate all the lines of your innovation, which, of course, does not necessarily have to mean that we have to build another place. We have to get what's it called, a skyrocket thing into the facility. I agree. But the challenge is that there's a low purchasing power. I'm looking at the balance that you want to create for us. The people that are going to pay for the services are not having the money to pay. Okay? The awareness. There's also this stupid innovation, the mindset that the services cannot be advertised. I don't know where that comes from. We have not seen that in the paper anyway. So what I saw is that you cannot advertise a particular doctor, but you can advertise your service. So that's what I saw. So all this thing into business, you understand? And I appreciate Dr. Adelilo, who also nailed it on the head. We don't have knowledge of management at all, and we have to bring in skilled management. They don't come cheap. I want to innovate. I want to bring in an hospital manager into my facilities. The money is asking is twice what I don't even get. So these are the challenges I want you to really address for us and see if we can even take, because Dr. Ariman knows that I am in the vanguard of helping doctors to build up so that we can have a reverse of this trend. A lot of doctors are abroad and also wants to come back here, but there's no enabling environment. Electricity is not supporting and all that. How do you innovate when you want to put a network into your facilities where people can even Google and everything, and there's no network? We started this thing now, the network worked for 30 minutes. How do I do it? I have never operated in my facility using electricity. I use generator. Even though there's light on, I won't risk it. You understand? So
because you've been in the theater and you lose
I cannot after. So these are the challenges, Prof. Honestly, I
agree with you, and that's why let me talk of. You say, I said that we should. This is the time for us to also segment the market. The market is like a pyramid in Nigeria, and the bulk of the people are at the bottom of the pyramid. We have a percentage of Nigerians right there at the apex of the pyramid who can afford anything. It would be good to look at the statistics of Nigerians, the number of Nigerians who go to India on medical tourism, who go to Europe for medical services. The numbers are mind-boggling. There is no way you're going to serve the 200 million Nigerians. So segmenting the market means, where can I play and play effectively? Two things I want to bear in mind. Medical tourism is a reality in Nigeria. How can we reverse that trend? There are people who can afford to go to India, stay in some ranch hotel, get services from doctors that are not as good as Nigerian doctors. So how do we build that confidence, those people, so that they can actually come to our hospitals? I'm talking of hundreds of thousands every year and the amount of money they spend. If we get 50% of that money to stay back in Nigeria, there'll be a big change. If you look at healthcare in Africa, take Nigeria and take other countries. In other countries, governments spend more money on healthcare than the private sector. In Nigeria, it's the reverse. So when you say that government is actually mostly into it, they are not spending as much as they should spend. In the UK, the government is the biggest spender on healthcare, with the National Health Service. But in our own case, it is not well-structured land. I give you an example. It's a story and you'll laugh. At Lagos Business School, we're starting what we call a healthcare management initiative to see how we can develop healthcare managers, not doctors, make them to become proper business managers to run businesses. We had a conversation with the Minister of Health, told us of the federal institutions, health institutions, and teaching hospitals run by the chief medical or the medical directors. Check very well, they're all doctors running those hospitals, and none of them is viable. To run an executive program, believe it or not, they say they don't have the money. To help them over a period of time, not just bring them to class for 1 week, no. Work with them, help develop those skills and mentor them, coach them so that they can actually translate the thing they've learned into practice. They have no money. We're now looking for pharmaceutical companies that will sponsor it. And to me, I say anything that is free has no value. If they come for it and they don't pay for it, it's of no value. For me, it's jamboree. They just come, have good time, and go. So I don't think government is personally. If we look at, if we're talking at in terms of control, that they are talking of the National Health Insurance Scheme. That's nothing. If you look at the number of Nigerians that have actually subscribed to it, it's less than the number of, it's lower than what you have in Ghana. The number of people in Ghana that's in their own health scheme in terms of numbers is more than what we have in Nigeria. So I don't think the government is muscling into healthcare. The government is confused and not doing what they should do in the healthcare sector. So it's left for the private sector to drive it as a business and also render service. Unfortunately, there is no way the private sector can take care of the bottom of the pyramid. The only way they can do it is if big companies see it as corporate social responsibility and provide the funds for hospitals and clinics to serve them. And that's why the mortality rate is highest at the bottom of the pyramid. So for the audience who I'm talking to now, you're actually serving the middle market to upper markets. Is how do you keep them here? If I take I Foundation, for example, you have one of the best facilities for eye care you can find anywhere in the world, anywhere in Africa. So the question, how do you make sure that those who would rather go abroad to do it come to you? I mean, laser eye surgery is the in thing, but how many hospitals, even abroad, have the facilities? So I think somewhere along the line is, how do we actually build, how do I put it, make people see us that will have the competence, the capability, and what it takes to deliver. Instead of going abroad to waste their money, for a fraction of the cost of going abroad, they can have better quality service in Nigeria. It's for us to develop it, build it, and make noise about it. I want to tell a story of the electric cable industry, because we're involved. The Nigerian manufacturers were busy screaming and crying that imported cables from Asia was dominating the market. And of course, government contractors would rather use those cheap cables because they save costs, make more money. And they kept screaming to government, ban importation of cables. We brought them together and said, you're joking, you're wasting your time. The people you are talking to are the beneficiaries of this, so they will never ban it. Now come then, what do you have that this will don't have? They sat down and analyzed and looked at the Nigerian cables of better quality because externally the size of the cables are the same, but if you look internally, the metal that conducts electricity is bigger for the Nigerian. The insulator for the foreign one is small and the cable is smaller, and as such, the Nigerian-made cables can resist the fluctuation of power that we have in Nigeria. So you find that each time they say that, oh, there's power in an office or in a house caused by electricity, when there is power outage, it is actually those cheap cables. So now change the narrative. Focus on safety and quality. Forget about government contractors. Focus your market on those on the private sector. People who spend 1 million naira or 2 million naira to build their houses will pay extra 200,000 to buy cable that will safeguard their building. And that changed completely their value proposition and the market segment thereafter. You can't hear any Nigerian cable manufacturer screaming, asking government ban imported cables. Sorry, I had to tell this story. It may sound not the same as healthcare, but the question is that they sat down and said, what do we have this we don't have? That's of value to our customers. And how do we make it known to them so that they will realize that we are offering, our value proposition is superior to that? And they did it and focused on the segment that's appreciated. And that's why the Nigerian cable companies are making money. They are all profitable.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate the comments. Dr. Hassan, sir, I'm trying to see if he's still online. Dr. Hassan,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Can you
We'd
hear
like
me?
you. Yes, sir. We can hear you now, sir. We'd like you to make some contributions, sir.
To
I really
support me,
like
because I've been taking the battle alone.
I really like to thank Professor Chris for that wonderful talk and the practicality of it. You know, collaboration is key, but actually, corruption is what is undermining collaboration in healthcare. And the corruption is coming from two areas. One, the provider themselves. They probably like to have money rather than to build a business. And they build individuals. At the end of the day, either age or whatever conditions they cannot control will crash their business. And that's the end of it. The second is some of the external people, investors. I mean, you talk of Mikio, you talk of many things coming up now. There are a lot of investors coming to cherry pick. Their goal is to make money. And when they enter the market, what they're doing is to get the providers and pay them for referring patients to them. Even in the eye care, some of our competitors will go to optometrists, to all the small guys, eye shop, and say, oh, we help you to develop. For every patient you refer to us, we give you a percentage. And the mindset of these providers, you know, they're so small of themselves that their value is so, I mean, they do that and referring patients across hundreds of miles to those, you know, people in order to make money. Whereas if they collaborate with themselves and look at the value chain of the industry, they can really help themselves to grow and it can be sustainable. Instead of selling their birthright for certain things. And the other side of it, even for those people who are providing the service, healthcare service, they continue to bribe providers or call it incentive, unethical incentives. At the end of the day, the providers also develop higher taste for corruption and ask for more until they cannot afford to pay so much people because they share. A good example is lawsuit. When lawsuit was really money being poured into it, things were changing, and there's a high level of skill transfer there, with a lot of people from overseas coming home and helping the old doctors, professors helping there. Suddenly, Mikhail came in and were writing checks to the doctors to the extent that diagnostic service in lawsuit crashed, and they have to look into it and introduce punitive measures. And Mikhail was shut down for a while. But when you look at people who are behind all those things, they are still Nigerians. So as you mentioned, people must have a vision. You must have a commitment that whatever you're going to do is to create an institution and a legacy that will touch life that is sustainable. So in healthcare, the make it quick is now the order of the day. And that corruption is undermining healthy rivalry and competition, which is necessary. When there's healthy rivalry and competition, the consumers will benefit. And when the volume is great, then the prices can come to economy of scale. So all this you're saying is relevant if we can have a change in mindset, if we can reorientate ourselves and move forward. My own concern is the younger generation. The older generation, they are spent force. There are good ones among them. There are those ones that are not good, and they cannot change. They have too many extra luggages. But in the healthcare system, what we're seeing is a sort of mentorship whereby the mentee looks up to the mentor with fear, not with and respect, because they have a leverage on their future, either institution, promotion, or this or that. So that even the leaders have to have a change in mindset, that they have an obligation to help those young ones to develop in a proper way. If not, they should develop and carry on the same thing. So we have to look within as providers. We have to have a change mindset. We have to be committed to raise our head. You know, I always tell my colleagues, make your name first, the money will follow you. But if you want to run and make money first, you lose it at the end. So to the doctor who asks all the questions, that all these indices are there, they're negative, they will always be there. And in those countries that have developed, in India and everywhere, it was there. It's people that desire to rise above those levels and create a new thing. And that's what Professor Chris is saying. Take charge, the ownership, create a process that can take you out of the woods. And it's possible. So we need that focused leadership. We need that people can make sacrifice in order to effect changes that will last and leave a legacy. That's my challenge to the older and the younger generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for those comments. I think people are beginning to wake up with their questions when we're about when we are thinking of rounding up. Let me read Mr. Dele Salami's comments. He says we need to institutionalize group practice in Nigeria as a catalyst for critical growth in sustainable service excellence. The current mushrooming of one-man medical facilities is a disservice to medical practitioners and patients. That's from Mr. Dele Salami. Let me read this question from Mr. Asheni. He says, good afternoon, sir. How do we think we can protect the business size of our health sector? Some foreigners, majorly Indians, come to the country and charge much less than the local hospital. This may be due to funding support the foreigners get in their countries, but not available in Nigeria. The patients would definitely prefer to spend less and are even deceived by the color of the foreign doctors, who may be less qualified than the local doctors. So
I'd like to comment on that.
Yeah.
First and foremost, and that's why I say we need to understand the behavior of customers. I don't think that the foreign doctors are seen to be superior to Nigerian doctors. You have Nigerian doctors, even in America, in UK, at, how do you call it, in the best hospitals you can think of. Think of any hospital, high-class hospital anywhere in the world. In America, you find Nigerian doctors there working. Nigerian doctors abroad come home to render service, and patients go to them. I think that Dr. Hassan said, how do we build our own brand? We doctors, what are we known for? You say you can't advertise, but you can build your own brand, your own personal brand, and people know you as an expert in so and so. And they come to you wherever you are. You see, we think that those who go to India, medical tourism, you know the number of patients in India who cannot afford to go to hospital? Who cannot afford to go to what we call pattern medicine store in Nigeria? So many of them. And you have many who can't even pay basic medical services. So they are also there in India. It does not mean that the Nigerians who go to India are not well informed because we doctors here in Nigeria have not built our brand in such a way that they will say, I will come to so and so person to take care of me. We can reverse that trend. And let me take what Dele said is correct. Honestly, what we can build group practices where we have specialists in different fields coming together and then building that trust and confidence, we can reverse that trend. The onus is on us. If we wait for government, they will never do it for us. The private sector must find ways of reinventing our healthcare sector. Government should just play a supporting role. Let government take care of bottom of the pyramid. We take care of middle to top income people because they can afford it.
Yeah, sorry. So a follow-up to what your last comment. This is from Dr. Ekundayo Ajayobe, who says, excellent lecture, and says, I would like to ask how big is the middle class, which is the market size for private care?
You'll be shocked if I tell you. Over 40 million. Bigger than many countries in Europe.
Yeah.
Honestly, just look at them. Look at the entrepreneurs. Look at the managers in many companies, oil companies, telecom, banks. And don't forget that you have so many business people in Nigeria. If you look at the young people who are making waves in fintech today, they want good service. They want good healthcare. So even if it's only 4 million people we are dealing with, can we even handle all of them? Can we? We can't. So in Lagos, if we are dealing with only 1 million people, which actually can afford, can we handle them? We have the facilities for 1 million people. So the middle class is big. Don't forget we are 200 million people. That even if it's only 10 million that can afford, is still a big population, similar to half the population of Ghana.
Thank you very much, sir. This is the last question we'll be taking so that we can go and enjoy whatever is left of our weekend. So I'll be taking it from Mr. Olalekan Daniels. He says, Prof, sir, the challenges of running healthcare institutions, as we have enumerated, eventually leads to brain drain. What can the health institutions do to retain the best brains, taking the Nigerian situation as a case study?
Where are they living? The country is hot. It's not just salary alone. Security, quality of life is affecting all that. So if you want to retain our people, we have to think, what do we offer them to keep them back? But the younger ones, you find that the younger ones are the ones who are moving out in droves. The older ones are asking themselves the question, how am I going to start new life somewhere else, make new friends? I give an example at Lagos Business School. We have an interesting age profile for our faculty. The bulk of our faculty are over 40. Why? Because we need people who not just have the academic qualification, but they have industry experience. So because they are older, they find it difficult to move. They are not interested in moving. They can go and visit, work for 2 months or 3 months and come back. We have not lost anyone, not one. The ones that are living are the younger ones, the research assistants who think they can now go abroad and make. So for those people, we give them only 2 years. So because of that, we have a pipeline to replace them. But in the case of healthcare, I don't think it's the doctors that is being problem. The nurses we're losing them at a faster rate because of the acute shortage of nurses in Europe and in America. So it means that we need to devise ways of training our nurses and making them useful during training. And if our training can keep them for 2 years, it's good. If they leave, we have a pipeline to replace them. But let me also say, it's not only healthcare. The present generation, the millennials and the Gen Z, they don't spend more than 3 years in any organization. They move, whether it's bank, telecom, oil and gas. So it is not peculiar with the younger generation. So start asking, for us in the medical field, we need experienced doctors who have made their mark. The younger ones can learn from them. If they don't want to learn, they want to move, there should be a crop of young ones who can come and learn from them. How do we encourage the older, experienced ones to stay with us and make life or the working conditions good enough for them? Because these are the people that will attract the patients. My wife told me a story that she went to, I wouldn't want to mention the name of the hospital, that the doctor who saw her, a young lady, she must be a youth copper. That's where she put it. The next month she went there, she saw a different young doctor, but she did not have the confidence that that young doctor can render good service to her. So if you are to lose that kind of doctor, you are not going to lose much from your patients, but the experienced older doctors are the ones that will cause problem if we keep losing them in terms of patient care and trust. So it's how do we make them more comfortable and keep them? It may cost us money, but that's the price we have to pay.
Sir, before we take the vote of thanks, I'm going to read this comment from Dr. Joseph Smith. It's by reducing your overhead and reducing costs, that's through a group practice, people don't spend money at a loss. They are still making money at a lower cost. There lies an intrinsic lack of trust that doesn't allow this. There are some other messages coming in. This is the second time I'm saying last, so I'm not going to say last again. So this is from Isede Osaze. He says, the challenges of running healthcare institutions in the new era. Where is the place of research? A lot of strategies today are based on assumptions and emotions. If data doesn't lie, institutions should commit more to research in health businesses. So thank you very much. This has been a very interesting discussion, and I will call Mrs. Hazan. Please help us give the vote of thanks and then close the meeting for today. Mrs. Hazan, ma'am. I hope the network.
Well, I don't know. Is she there?
No. Okay, it's not in the. I can see her online, but the I think the network signal is not there. Okay, sir. Let me just ask you, sir, Dr. Hazan, sir, please help us give the closing remarks. And I appreciate
Well, on behalf of all of us in the I Foundation and the Khmer and I Foundation Academy, I would like to thank you, Professor Chris, for such a wonderful talk, and it's quite exciting and it's quite stimulating. And I'm sure all of us that listening to you, we go back and start thinking of the best way to overcome the present situation. I believe that there's nothing impossible once there's the will and the determination to make a difference. And your own career and all that you achieved in life, in business, and also as a teacher, only a teacher. But this days, the reward of teacher is no more in heaven. It's right
It's in
here
heaven,
from
oh.
there. You've been a prosperous teacher, and we're happy that you're able to share your knowledge with us. We appreciate you and wish you all the best. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. I've enjoyed the session and quite lively.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Dr. Harriman, please, can we have the details for our next lectures?
Thank you very much, Dr. Odemilo. Thank you very much, Prof. I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot, and I'm sure many of us did so. So the next lecture will be held on, that'll be the 7th of May. 7th of May. We'll have another speaker. Our theme is leadership and influence. So we look forward to the 7th of May. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. Again, thank you, Dr. Odemilo, and thank you, Dr. Hassan. And thank you all guests. So have a restful weekend. Thank you for joining us.